Hello guys and welcome to Nat Blue. Today we are going to be talking about Teen Titans as D&D characters. I have done MCU characters as D&D characters in the past, but I have not done Teen Titans before, so this is an exciting video for me because I love the Teen Titans. We are specifically talking about the OG members from the original Teen Titans TV show. Not necessarily Teen Titans Go, not the comic books, not Titans, just the Teen Titans from Cartoon Network. We are going to hop into this first with Robin, and I think Robin would be one of either two classes. I think Way of the Shadow Monk makes sense here. I do have a couple of issues with it. It seems a little bit too magical for Robin, but I think you can thematically explain it by him slipping into the shadows and stuff like that. Monks are really good at hand-to-hand combat, so I think that also makes sense. I think the other option I like better, but that doesn't mean it is better, and that is the Swashbuckler Rogue. So you're still relatively stealthy. You're also a very good fighter. The Swashbuckler is probably one of the better fighters out of the Rogue class. And I feel like he is very performative in his fighting, which kind of fits that Swashbuckler really well. The Swashbuckler has a little bit of, it's like they're dancing while they fight, you know? They're putting on a performance. Which brings us to the next thing with Robin. He would definitely have the entertainer background. 100% would have the entertainer background. I do think no matter what, Shadow Monk or Rogue make the most sense because of the stealth. There's a lot of scenes where he's just jumping out of clouds and stuff. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And he's just a really good fighter. The other option that I had considered for Robin was a Battle Master fighter. But I think there's more to him than that. He's not going to be armored. The stealth is a pretty big aspect of Robin. So I think that the Rogue or the Monk make the most sense here. Next up, we have Beast Boy. Beast Boy is maybe the most obvious person on this list, if I'm being completely honest. He is going to be a druid, specifically the Way of the Moon druid. Now, the reason I wanted Way of the Moon here is because he's going to wild shape more than a lot of other druids do. And Way of the Moon is the best subclass for wild shape. Because you can do it more often, you can do it as a bonus action. It's just a really good class for somebody that shapeshifts a lot. I would give him the folk hero background because I think it makes sense there. He did really want to be a superhero. He joined the Doom Patrol Force because he really wanted to be a superhero. So I think folk hero makes sense. It's not going to affect much. I don't think him or Robin, the race, matter very much. I would probably put Robin as just a human. Beast Boy may be like human or half-elf. But I don't think it matters much to the character itself. So you should just pick a easy, simple race there. Next up, we have Raven. Now, this was a tough one. I spent a lot of time on this one. And I want to explain a little bit of why, because to a lot of people, that might not make sense. Now, there's an obvious answer here. You could do a Fiend Warlock. And the reason I say that's an obvious answer is because her dad is a fiend. He's a devil. There's some people who believe she should be a shadow sorcerer because she is born with magic. And I can kind of understand that. I think Warlock makes sense. You just have to flavor it a little bit. She is going to be a tiefling. She does not necessarily have to look like the stereotypical tiefling. She doesn't look like a devil, but she is half devil. So she should probably still be a tiefling. Now, there are options here, and I have two. I'm going to start with the one that I would go with if I was making Raven. And that is a Great Old One Warlock. Now, I want to explain this a little bit because I just said that Fiend makes the most sense because her dad is a Fiend. My issue with that is Raven doesn't have a lot of fire spells under her belt. She can do a lot with like the dark magic she manipulates, but she doesn't really use fire. So I decided that the Great Old One makes a little bit more sense. It has telekinesis at later levels. It has like mind reading. Evod's Black Tentacles, I think it's called, which there's a point in the show where it definitely looks like she has some black tentacles, you know? So I think those make a lot of sense there. Like I said, you could pick the Fiend Warlock. I just don't think the fire works as well. And then I saw a few people saying that they would pick a cleric for Raven, and I think that could work because she is fighting against her lineage so much. But something that I haven't mentioned about Warlock, and the main reason I would pick a Warlock is because of Eldritch Blast. She shoots a lot of beams out of her hands, guys. And a good way to explain those beams is Eldritch Blast. I do think I would give her the Pact of the Tome because she does have a spellbook. Some people, because of that spellbook, think she should be a wizard. I think she could be a wizard. I could not find a subclass for wizard that I liked for her. If you guys have a subclass that you would use for Raven to be a wizard, leave a comment. I know she does study her magic, and she is a big fan of books in the show. So I think she could be a wizard. I just can't find a class that I like theming wise. And then I would also give her the Haunted One background because she is kind of haunted by her father. It comes up a lot. And then she is kind of repressing that inner darkness of hers through the gem in her head and through the prayers she consistently says. Because that chant that she does when she casts spells is not a spell, it is a prayer to hold back those demons. Next up would be Cyborg. This was also a little bit tough for me. I almost went Eldritch Knight here, and I almost went Warforged here. I'm going to tell you why I didn't go with either one of those. Now, for the race, I picked Reborn Human. Reborn was a variant race that I think was introduced in Van Richter's Guide to Ravenloft, and it normally means somebody that's come back to life. In one way, it could mean somebody that's come back to life is somebody that was remade as a cyborg. And that is kind of what happened in Cyborg's backstory. He was dying and became a cyborg to save his life. So I think it works really well for the reborn right there. And it keeps a little bit of that humanity that Warforged wouldn't keep. And then I picked Artificer for the class, specifically the Armorer, because his cyborg parts make him a lot more durable. He is really good with tech, which works with the Artificer very well. And then I decided, since he's a little bit of a brawler, he would just wear gauntlets, which is definitely something an Artificer can make. So he just wears gauntlets when he fights. You could give him a cannon, but that gets into the territory of Artillerist. So you would need to talk to your DM about whether or not he would allow that. I think it could be cool to have a cannon that does a lesser form of Eldritch Blast or something like that. And then I gave him the athlete background because he was an athlete. I understand that's not the most optimal background, but it makes sense for the character. And sometimes I do things that just make sense for the character. I mean, I'm contradicting myself a little bit because I did not do that with Raven, who could have been a Fiend Warlock, but I decided Great Old One. But that's besides the point. Lastly, to round out our Teen Titans list, we have Starfire. Starfire was also a bit of a tough one. I considered the Sun Soul Monk, but I don't like it very much. So I read a lot of discourse around what Starfire would be and didn't agree with most of it. Now, a lot of people say Sorcerer. He has innate magic. There's a lot of sorcerers that have like hand beams. Some sorcery classes allow you to fly. And I didn't like Sorcerer, because yeah, she has innate magic, but I don't think we should take something just for the hand beams. Starfire also is very durable and has incredible strength, almost to the degree of a Kryptonian. Sorcerers are kind of squishy, so I made some changes here. First, for her race, I picked the Asimar, Asimar, I don't know how to say it, because they have wings. I would ask my DM if she could not have those wings and just have the limited flight that comes with that race. But I mean, that's up to you and your DM. And then I would, for the class, this one, it might be a little bit surprising to some. I've fought with this for a long time. I considered finding a different monk subclass that was just good at hand to hand. I considered the barbarian, but I hate the berserker. And honestly, rewatching some scenes with her, I don't think her anger gets the best of her as much as I expected it to. And then I really wanted to stick with something that had good strength. I even considered a bard at one point because, she is very charismatic. But instead of that charisma contributing to a class that's not necessarily known for fighting, I made Starfire an Oath of Devotion paladin. Now, stick with me for a little bit. Her devotion would obviously be to her friends. Nobody is as loyal as Starfire is. Let's be honest with each other. She is the best when it comes to protecting her friends. And I think some of her punches and stuff, especially like the powered punches where she has that glowing green aura around her fist, I guess, could be counted as a smite. I would count it. I think it's a smite. Why not? Why not let it be a smite? But you might be asking, what about the hand beams? That's a big part of her class. Do you know what I think about the hand beams? Eldritch Blast. You give Starfire one level of Warlock. The way Eldritch Blast seems to work, I double checked this before making the video, is you get more beams as you level up. This is not necessarily as you level up in Warlock. If I'm incorrect here, please leave a comment. So, you give her one dip into Warlock. The rest of her levels are Paladin for the strength, for the smites, the good charisma, works really well with Paladin and Warlock. And she continues to improve her Eldritch Blast. She can fly because of her race, and she can shoot stuff out of her hands now. So I think this level dip makes more sense for Starfire than pretty much any other character I would consider making. That one level to get the Eldritch Blast is just so good here. So I would definitely recommend Paladin with a dip into Warlock for Eldritch Blast. Eldritch Blast is also a very repeatable attack. This is my problem with a lot of the suggestions I got on this. A lot of people wanted her to play a sorcerer because of beam attacks. And a lot of those attacks were like divine energy, and some people even suggested clerics because of that, for like sacred flame and things along those lines. My issue with that is she shoots a lot of beams, and you would run out of spell slots very fast. Sacred Flame's a cantrip, but a lot of other attacks aren't. And if you're going for a cantrip to shoot beams of energy, you go with Eldritch Blast. I hate to say it. And there's a really good clip that I think showcases Eldritch Blast from her eyes, which I don't know if that's a allowable thing, but you know what? We're making a superhero right now. Let's be honest with each other. And it knocks the enemy back into a wall. And you know what I think that is? Repelling Blast. Now, I understand you don't get evocations if you only dip once, but let me live out this fantasy, please. I guess you could take more dips to improve your Eldritch Blast through Eldritch evocations. But I think the Paladin is pretty crucial here for that strength. He is a strong character. So, for her background, I think I would go noble here because, we don't talk about it often enough. Starfire is a princess. So why not let her take the noble background? But that is my Teen Titans list. If you disagree with any of my classes that I assigned to these guys, please leave a comment. If you want to talk about the classes I assigned, leave a comment. And if you want me to deep dive into one of these characters and make the full character, maybe even including the Hero Forge mini, like I did in my last video, make a character with me where I made Klaus the Goblin, including a mini, please also leave a comment. I would love to deep dive into these characters if you guys want me to. And I love making minis on Hero Forge. That is something I will never reject doing. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video though. If you did like this video, please leave a like. Subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. I like doing this as a D&D character. I like that format. But I'm running out of groups to use. I'm realizing the Justice League is a little tough to use because most of them are too strong. But if you guys want a Justice League as D&D characters or any other idea, just drop another comment, Just comment, please. I'm begging of you, please. Please leave a comment. I need this. And other than that, hit that notification bell if you want to be notified when new videos come out. And until next time, guys, peace.